One word, two letters, the most powerful word in conditional English, if. And right now, 3 different structures use this one word, and most learners cannot explain the difference between them. If I have, if I had, if I had had. 3 structures, 3 realities. Real life, imaginary life, and missed life. And today, all 3 permanently clear. Sarah, I need to confess something. Every time I want to use a conditional sentence, I freeze. Should I say if I have, or if I had, or if I had had? I choose randomly and hope it is right. And sometimes I can feel it is wrong, but I cannot fix it. That freezing stops today because there is a framework, not just grammar rules, that makes the difference between these 3 structures completely natural. And once you feel the emotional difference between them, the grammar follows automatically. There is one thing I want to promise before we start. The double had in if I had had, the one that looks like a mistake, is not a mistake at all. Each had is doing a completely different job. We explain what each one does at minute 13. That explanation will end the confusion about this structure permanently. And there is a second promise. The past simple in if I had money does not refer to the past. It refers to right now. That revelation at minute 9 changes how you understand the second conditional forever. By the end of this episode, we give you a real conversation that uses all 3 structures naturally. If that conversation makes complete sense, all 3 conditionals are yours. Write in the comments right now, which of these 3 confuses you most? If I have, if I had, or if I had had? And tell us one sentence you have been unsure about. We read every single answer. Subscribe to Talk Sarah Daily, a new lesson every day. Let us start with real life. If I have.
If I have. This structure lives in real life, in situations that are genuinely possible, genuinely likely, genuinely real. When you say if I have, or if she has, if they have, if it has, you are describing a real condition, something that can actually happen. And you're describing what will happen as a result.
Real condition, real result.
The structure is if plus the present simple. If I have, if she goes, if it rains, followed by will plus the base verb in the result. If I have time tomorrow, I will call you. The time is possible, I might have it, and if I do, the call will happen. Both are real possibilities.
If it rains this weekend, we will cancel the picnic.
Perfect. It might rain, that is real, and the cancellation will follow. Real condition, real future result. If plus present simple, will plus base verb.
If she passes the exam, she will celebrate.
Excellent. Passing is possible, a real future possibility, and celebration will follow. If passes, will celebrate. The present simple in the if clause does not mean it is happening now. It is the grammar's way of describing a real future condition.
Now, there is also a zero conditional using the same if-have structure.
Yes, and this is worth knowing because it uses almost the same form. Zero conditional, for things that are always true. General facts, cause and effect that never changes. If plus present simple result. No will. If you heat water to 100 degrees, it boils. Always true. If I miss breakfast, I get a headache. Always happens. The pattern is consistent. If condition, then result.
The difference between zero and first conditional, always true versus likely future.
Zero conditional, present, always true. First conditional, present, will, likely future. Both use if I have, or if I go, or if she does. The result verb tells you which one. Present result, 0. Always true. Will result, first. Real future possibility.
If I drink too much coffee, I cannot sleep. 0. Always happens.
Perfect. Versus, if I drink coffee tonight, I will not sleep. First, real future possibility for tonight. Same if clause structure, different result, different meaning. The result tells the story.
And in spoken English, will often becomes "'ll". If I have time, I'll call you. Completely natural and more common in casual speech than the full will.
Yes, if she passes, she'll celebrate. If it rains, we'll stay in. The contraction "'ll" is the spoken form. Always natural and always correct.
Now, the emotional dimension. If I have lives in hope and planning. When you use this structure, you are making real plans for real possibilities. There is genuine anticipation. If I get the job, I will start next month. The speaker believes it could happen. There is hope.
That emotional quality, hope, planning, genuine possibility, is what separates "if I have" from the other two structures. When you hear it, the speaker believes this could happen. They are planning for it.
If we finish early today, we'll have dinner together.
The planning is real. The dinner is genuinely possible. That is, if I have. Real life.
Write an "if I have" sentence in the comments. Tell us something you will do if you have time this weekend. Real plan, real possibility. If plus present simple, will in the result.
Now, if I had. Imaginary life. And the revelation about what the past simple is really doing in this structure. If I had. The second conditional. And here is the revelation I promised. When you say, if I had more money, the past simple had does not mean you are talking about the past. You are talking about right now. You are saying, right now, in the present, this is not my reality. But imagine if it were. The past form creates distance from reality, not distance from time.
Past form, but present meaning.
This is one of the most confusing and most important things in English grammar. The past simple in the if clause is not marking the past tense. It is marking unreality, imagination, distance from the real world. If I had a car, I don't have a car right now, but let's imagine. If she lived closer, she doesn't live close right now, but imagine if she did. If we had more time, we don't have much time right now, but what if we did?
The past form signals that this is not real.
Exactly. Grammar uses past form to signal this is imaginary, this is hypothetical, this is a departure from current reality. And the result uses would plus base verb. If I had a car, I would drive to work. I don't have a car, imaginary, would drive. If she lived closer, we would meet more often. She doesn't live close, imaginary, would meet.
If I spoke perfect English, I would feel so much more confident.
Beautiful. You don't speak perfectly yet, and that is the honest imaginary condition. Would feel more confident. The whole sentence is about a current imaginary reality, not about the past.
And would becomes apostrophe D in spoken English. If I had a car, I'd drive to work. If she lived closer, we'd meet more often.
Very common. The contraction D is the spoken form. And notice, in spoken English, you often hear if I was instead of if I were. The traditional grammar rule says if I were you, not if I was you. Were is the subjunctive form, used in formal and written English for unreal conditions. But in everyday spoken English, if I was you is widely used and perfectly understood.
Formal. If I were. Casual. If I was. Both communicate the imaginary condition.
And the emotional quality of if I had, this is the structure of dreams, wishes, and hypothetical thinking. If I had more time, I would read every day. The speaker wishes for time. They are painting a picture of an alternative life. There is longing, but also imagination and creativity. This is where English speakers live when they daydream.
If I could change one thing about the world, what would you change?
Perfect. A second conditional question inviting imagination. The whole point of If I Had is to explore what is not real, but what could feel real for a moment. Creative, wishful, hypothetical.
If I had known about this channel earlier, I would have subscribed immediately.
Wait, that sentence is different. If I had known, that is not second conditional. That is something else. That structure reaches back into the past and describes something that didn't happen. That is our third structure. If I had had. Write a second conditional sentence in the comments. Tell us something you would do if you had more money or more time right now. Make it real for you. We want to hear your imaginary life.
Now, if I had had. Missed life. Regret. The structure nobody teaches clearly enough. And the double had that surprises everyone.
If I had had. The third conditional. And this is the structure that reaches back into the past and describes something that did not happen, but you are still thinking about it. Something that could have gone differently. A missed opportunity. A regret. A what if that lives in memory. This is missed life.
And the double had? The thing that confuses everyone.
Let us solve the double had immediately. If I had had more time. Two hads. Two completely different jobs. The first had is the past perfect helper. It is the auxiliary verb that creates the past perfect tense. The second had is the main verb, the past participle of the verb have. Had is both a helping verb and a past participle. So when you need past perfect of have, you get had helper plus had participle. Two hads together.
The first had does the grammar work. The second had is the actual verb.
Exactly. If I had gone, first had is the helper, gone is the past participle of go. If I had seen it, first had is the helper, seen is the past participle of see. If I had had more money, first had is the helper, second had is the past participle of have. The verb have is the one that creates the double because its past participle looks identical to its helper.
If she had had more time, she would have finished. Two hads. First is helper, second is participle of have.
Perfect. Any other verb, only one had appears as helper. If she had studied more, if he had called earlier, only have creates the double because have's past participle is had.
And the result clause for third conditional. Would have plus past participle.
Would have plus past participle. The result in the past that also did not happen. If I had had more time, I would have called. I did not have time, and I did not call. Both are unreal past. If she had studied harder, she would have passed. She did not study hard enough, and she did not pass. Two past unrealities in one sentence. If they had left earlier, they would have caught the train.
Perfect. They did not leave earlier, and they missed the train. Both facts. Third conditional packages both into one sentence, expressing the regret.
And would have becomes duh have in spoken English. Or sometimes just duh. I'd have called. She'd have passed. Very natural contractions.
And would have is often pronounced would've in fast speech, not would of. Would've. The V is from have. Never would of. That is a spelling and grammar error, though you will hear it said that way. Always would have in writing.
The emotional quality of if I had had. This is the structure of regret, reflection, and what ifs about the past. If I had studied harder, I would have gotten the scholarship. The speaker still thinks about that moment, the door that closed.
This is the structure of human memory and reflection. When people tell stories about their lives, mistakes, missed chances, things they wish had gone differently. If I had had appears naturally. If I had listened to her advice, everything would have been different. That sentence carries weight, history, feeling.
If I had found Talk Sarah Daily sooner, my English would have improved much faster.
And we hope that is genuinely true. Write a third conditional sentence in the comments, something from your past, something that would have been different if you had had something you did not have. A real reflection. We want the honest ones. Mistakes. Every single error here is real and appears constantly across B1 and B2 learner writing and speaking.
Mistake 1. If I would have more time, I will call you. Using would in the if clause of the first conditional.
Would never goes in the if clause in standard English. In first conditional, the if clause uses present simple. If I have more time, I will call you. The will or would lives in the result, never in the if part. If it rains, I will stay home. Present simple in if, will in result. Never if it would rain.
If clause, present simple. Result, will. Never would in the if clause.
Mistake 2. Using first conditional for an imaginary situation. If I have €1,000,000, I will buy a house. If €1,000,000 is not a realistic possibility, not something that could genuinely happen tomorrow, then second conditional is more natural. If I had €1,000,000, I would buy a house. The imaginary condition needs had and would, not have and will. The first conditional implies real possibility. The second implies imagination.
Have and will for real possibility. Had and would for imagination and wishes.
Mistake 3. If I had more money, I would have bought it. Mixing second and third conditionals. Had suggests imaginary present. Would have suggests past result. These two do not naturally pair in a standard conditional. Second conditional, had, would buy. Third conditional, had, would have bought. Keep the tenses matched. If I had more money right now, I would buy it. If I had more money then, I would have bought it.
Match the conditionals. Second with second. Third with third.
Mistake 4. If I had more time, I would have been go there. Using would have with the wrong verb form. Would have is always followed by the past participle. Not base form, not ing, not past simple. I would have gone there. Past participle gone, not be go. She would have called. They would have finished. Would have plus past participle. Always.
Would have plus past participle. Never would have plus base verb.
Mistake 5. If I would have had more time, I would have helped. Would in the if clause of a third conditional? Wrong. If clause always uses had plus past participle, the past perfect. If I had more time, I would have helped. Never would in the if clause of any conditional.
5 mistakes. 5 permanent fixes. These corrections move your English from B1 guessing to B2 precision.
Practice time. Say the correct answer out loud before Leo confirms it.
Let's go.
Situation 1. Your manager asks about the report. You know you can finish it today if your meeting is canceled. Blank. If the meeting blank canceled, I blank finish the report today. Options. A. Would be, will. B. Is, will. C. Were, would. D. Had been, would have.
B is will. If the meeting is canceled, I will finish the report. Real possibility. The meeting might be canceled. First conditional. Present simple in if, will in result. The manager is asking about a genuine present possibility.
Perfect. Situation 2. Your friend asks what you would do if you could live anywhere in the world. Blank. If I blank choose, I blank live in Japan. Options: A, could, would. B, can, will. C, could have, would have. D, had could, would.
A, could, would. If I could choose, I would live in Japan. Imaginary condition. I cannot freely choose right now. Second conditional. Past form could in if, would in result.
Exactly right. Situation 3. You are reflecting on a missed opportunity from last year. Blank. If I blank applied for that job, I blank gotten it. Options A, had, would have. B, have, will. C, had, would have. D, would have, had.
A, had, would have. But specifically, if I had applied, I would have gotten it. Had plus past participle, applied, past perfect. Would have plus past participle, gotten. Third conditional, past unreal, regret.
Beautiful. Now the conversation using all three. Leo, read this.
If I have time tonight, I will study the conditionals again. First, real plan. If I had more natural talent for grammar, I would find this easier. Second, imaginary wish. If I had had a better teacher at school, I would have understood this years ago. Third, past reflection. 3 structures, 3 realities, 1 natural progression.
If that conversation made complete sense, write all 3 in the comments. You have mastered all 3 conditionals today. What an episode. Leo, the next time you want to use a conditional, what 3 questions will you ask yourself?
First, is this real and possible? If I have, plus present simple, will in the result. Second, is this imaginary, a wish or a hypothetical about now? If I had, plus past simple, would in the result. Third, is this something that did not happen in the past? If I had had, past perfect, would have in the result. 3 questions, instant answer. That framework, real, imaginary, missed, is the entire lesson. Final summary. Main point 1, if I have, is the first conditional. Real life, genuine possibility. If plus present simple, will plus base verb in the result. The present simple in the if clause does not mean now. It describes a real condition that could happen. The emotion is hope and planning. If I have time, I will call. The call could genuinely happen.
Main point 2. If I had is the second conditional. Imaginary life. The past simple in if I had does not mean the past. It marks unreality, distance from current reality. Had plus would in the result. The emotion is wishing, dreaming, hypothetical thinking. If I had more money, I would travel. The money is not real right now, but the dream is vivid.
Main point 3.
If I had is the third conditional. Missed life. Past perfect in the if clause. Had plus past participle. The double had when the verb is have. First had is the helper. Second had is the past participle of have. Would have plus past participle in the result. The emotion is regret, reflection. What if? If I had had more time, I would have done it differently. Real, imaginary, missed. 3 conditionals, 3 emotional spaces, 3 grammatical systems. All clear? Like this video. Share it with one person who freezes on conditionals. Subscribe to Talk Sarah Daily every single day. If you study consistently, you will master English. If you had started earlier, you would be further along. But if you had given up, you would have missed this. You did not give up. See you next time. See you next time.